Ching ching. Here we go, guys. We are back. My name is Adam,
And I'm Steve.
and we are Adam Steve Show, here to talk about movies and stuff that we are excited about in the world today. First of all, we have the biggest R-rated movie of the year. We have Deadpool and Wolverine. Steve, your thoughts?
You know, it's a whole thing. I mean, once I heard that Hugh Jackman's coming back as Wolverine, as a kid who grew up literally with this X-Men franchise from Fox, it was very exciting just to hear Hugh Jackman coming back. Yeah, Logan's a great ending, but the great thing about this one is not only do they not really mess up that ending, they make it funny in a way. Like there's a whole
Hmm.
bunch of scenes in here. Like I don't want to spoil anything, even though Ryan
I mean,
Reynolds
it's
and a
been
lot of
like a
people,
month.
I was about to say a lot of people have already spoiled a lot of the reveals or anything on social media, but just to not talk about that one scene in the beginning with Logan, I feel like that's
Hmm.
just really fun in general to see on your own. But in general, this movie does a lot of really fun things with the IP that it has now. Is it an overabundance in some ways? Maybe to some people, but for me, I never really saw it that way. Like through and through, I loved this movie. It's full of a bunch of references. They had an in memoriam for our childhoods at the end with the little behind the scenes video and the credits. And honestly, overall, I just had a really fun time with it. Is it a perfect movie? No, but was it a really fun intro for Deadpool into the MCU? I think so.
I had a really great time. Yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. I'm a huge fan of the Deadpool movies and the Fox Marvel universe and Marvel just superhero movies just in general. But I thought that the first two Deadpool movies carried more dramatic weight for me. And like I cried during the first two Deadpool movies. I think more so the second one than the first. But I just don't feel like here I felt, and I don't really feel like they were. I mean, yeah, they were trying to go for it a little bit, but I didn't really connect too much with the internal conflicts of either of our title characters, and then also the villains. The two different villains that we have here, I felt like were both a little lackluster to me. Whereas,
Yeah,
I mean, not to say that like Francis and I mean, who Cable technically.
yeah,
Well, Deadpool 2 is a little bit more complicated, but not to say those are like great villains, but like these, I feel like were a little bit lackluster.
absolutely. I'd say almost in the first one, like Deadpool is almost a villain to himself. Actually, in all of the movies, kind of a villain and a hero in a way. But
Mhm.
yeah, in this one, it, there's multiple writers, which could have been an issue too, but I have a feeling that they just weren't as focused on telling the greatest story as much as they were like, oh, we have all these toys in our toolbox, let's fucking use them all. And does it get away from it sometimes? A little bit, but I do feel like out of the two, Logan especially carries the brunt of the story and everything, and I think Hugh Jackman really just showed that he can do all of the badass stuff that he's done for years, and it was kind of just his showcase almost. And honestly, if he walked away from Logan now, that would be perfect to me because I feel like he kind of it's almost like he did everything he kind of showed that he could do, but more with this extra story almost. But yeah, the story just got away from a lot of it. There's a lot of fun things that they wanted to throw in there, but to actually tell just one cohesive story, the first two definitely are honestly, while I still rate them all 5 stars in my opinion, I would still probably first, second, third is probably the rating still of them ranking wise.
I would agree with that ranking. I would agree with the 5 stars in the first two. I think this one I'm giving like a four, because it doesn't really hit on that like level that I want it to hit. I think it's interesting the concept of, bringing something back, like bringing back, Logan, bringing back Hugh Jackman here, some of the cameos, bringing some of these people back, and we just had the D23. I forgot we could talk about that a little bit later too. But the nothing's sacred, you know what I mean, except Back to the Future, it seems. But we're just getting remakes. I mean, yes, a lot of these stories, like even Star Wars is like, inspired by other serials and whatnot. But like it's got a new name, it's got new characters and whatnot. But today now, like we're remaking everything. We're doing requels, we're doing reboots, we're doing sequels, legacy sequels. And I wonder if kids in the future won't have as big of a problem. Like people want, because we kind of grew up with this being the status quo as well. You know what I mean? Like in our lives already, we have had like four different Spider-Men. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? And as long as they're good movies, that's all I really care about. But bringing back Hugh Jackman, I mean, he's great in the role, and I don't believe that role belongs to an actor, really, especially a role like this where it came
Oh yeah.
before the actor. Um, I think that it is fun to see him back because clearly he wanted. That's the thing is, it's nice that everyone involved in making the movie felt like they wanted to make the movie.
Yeah.
Besides, like in contrast to like something like a random movie like Borderlands, where it didn't feel like anyone wanted to be there. But Deadpool, like everyone really wanted to be there, and they're all really excited about it, and that's really rewarding to watch, and it's a lot of fun. It's definitely a very fun movie, you know.
Well, yeah, and going back on what you were talking about a little bit there with bringing back some of these people, I think the great part what Deadpool did there is, unlike, well, excluding Logan from this, a lot of the characters that they do bring back for different cameos and things like that, they bring them back for a reason because a lot of them, even their initial movie or their sequels, how the stories ended for those characters were never very satisfying for the fans themselves. Like there might have been a problem or an issue with certain movies and whatnot, and we might have wanted more of these characters, but we never got them, and it was kind of fun. Or in Channing Tatum's case, I mean, that's not really a spoiler because it's everywhere, but he never even got his movie to begin with. So it was really fun to see all these different characters brought back to kind of get their ending that they always really maybe not deserved in the public eye, but it's fun to see these actors who have been away from these roles for 10 plus years, some of them, and just being able to step back in and have some fun with it. It truly just feels like this movie was a blast to make, like you said, and it just shows on screen.
Yeah, it's very interesting because we're in the multiverse era. You know what I mean? Like where everyone's trying to do it and bring people back in different versions of things. And I feel like this is the best Marvel multiverse movie
Yeah,
besides the Spider-Verse movies because I don't know, it just like it feels like a love letter. And because Deadpool is so breaking the fourth wall and so unserious, I feel like it's more accepting to bring in these other things, you
yeah,
know? So I feel like that's where it has the most fun. And it didn't just feel like the cameo barrage, like it was being hyped up to be. I was actually kind of surprised there wasn't more cameos.
yeah.
But I had a lot of fun with all the cameos. You brought up Channing Tatum. I think he stole the movie. I think the interesting conversation around his performance in the movie is I've heard people be like, "Well, give him a movie. Everyone loves him," like. And then there's other people that are like, "Well, this kind of proves why we didn't need a movie." And I get both sides. Like, I would still totally see a movie because I want to see a movie that people want to make. And Channing Tatum clearly is very passionate about making this movie, and the character really worked. But part of what worked about the character is kind of how ridiculous that
Oh
it
yeah.
was. Like the voice that he puts on,
Well,
is
and that voice, unfortunately, is pretty accurate to not only the character from like the old X-Men show and stuff, but the character was always written to be like a New Orleans Cajun guy, which those people, no offense to any New Orleans Cajun listeners, but those people talk like fucking cartoon characters to begin with. So he was
Mhm.
kind of doing it justice in a way, but yes, it did feel very ridiculous.
Like it's cute and funny when it's a couple little jokes during a Deadpool movie,
Yeah,
but it's
but to
another
watch
thing
it
when you're
for
hearing that voice for
a
2 hours.
hundred, yeah, 120 minutes of it is different.
Which I would still take. The one that I enjoyed the most, and again, these aren't really like spoilers because they're in the cast list. But Jennifer Garner, I thought that was my favorite because said going into the movie that I think the multiverse concept is kind of getting overplayed at this point. And so the Deadpool movie is obviously playing with the multiverse concept. I hope that they make fun of the multiverse concept like Deadpool would. And I think it would be funny if you had someone, because we heard whispers of Jennifer Garner coming back, and that's hilarious because I mean, I'm being mean here, but like nobody cares about Jennifer Garner's Elektra. You know what I mean? I love Daredevil, the director's cut, but that's like kind of a niche, like cult thing to like love specifically the director's cut of that movie. Like the
Yeah.
regular cut's really poorly rated, and then the Elektra movie, like nobody knows that exists, and if they have, they think it's one of the worst superhero movies ever. And so bringing her back in like a moment like they do in the movie where it's like, oh yeah, like we want everyone to clap and stuff like, oh shit, it's this person. I wanted Deadpool to make some kind of crack about like who gives a shit, and he
Hmm.
did. That's exactly what he did, and I just thought that that was like really
Yeah.
rewarding and really funny.
They did both things that they needed to do, bringing Jennifer Gardner back. They make a crack at Elektra and they make a crack at Ben Affleck. They do
Yes.
both things and they were both fucking perfect. Like she was there, her cameo, yeah, it was one of the best ones. And the other one there that really stole the show, we're just going to talk about it because it's everywhere already too.
Mhm,
Blade comes back, the original man, Wesley Snipes. And
mhm.
that one was the most shocking to me and the most like just made my heart happy because, especially if anyone knows the behind the scenes of Blade Trinity, Ryan Reynolds being the goofball that he is and was still back then, being a newer guy, still young to Hollywood, fucking Wesley Snipes being the egotistical man that he is, he would literally make people call him Blade on set back then.
Mhm.
And Ryan Reynolds pissed him off so much to the point where he like didn't want to be in the same room as him for filming and shit like that. Like he legitimately said he hated him. And they make jokes about that in Deadpool as well. Like they poke fun at a lot of different things. And to just see that Ryan Reynolds was able to talk Wesley back. I mean, obviously Wesley Snipes has gone through bankruptcy, so the big paycheck probably did a lot of the work, but to know that he was able to get him back was still a lot of fun. And it seemed like Wesley Snipes had a lot of fun doing it, it felt like stepping back into Blade, he probably never thought he was ever going to do that again, but
Mhm. A joke I kind of wanted, but I realized you can't really do that in a big blockbuster movie, is I wanted it to be like clear that like every time that Blade and Deadpool were on screen together, and that it was like a green screen, like that I wanted to literally
that would have
see
been,
like the green screen ring around Deadpool.
or just have like one shot that's not composited or something. It would have been fucking hilarious.
And then my favorite joke from Blade is when he like looks the camera dead in the eyes and he's like, "There's only one Blade, and there only ever gonna be one Blade." And
Yeah.
like Deadpool just kind of looks like, and that joke's really funny because what do you like? I think there's several different interpretations of that joke. What do you think what do you think the interpretation of that joke is?
Well, I feel like it plays on multiple levels, like you said. Like it
Mhm.
could definitely play into just his ego as well as Marvel struggling to ever get this movie released.
But I don't
Like,
think Marvel would like make that joke at themselves.
well, that's
You
the
know what I
fun
mean?
part about this though, too. Like when you were talking about like how they did like the multiverse stuff, I feel like there were certain points where like they were open to the fact that they were making fun of Marvel in a few points too, and not really pulling punches at a few of the dumb decisions that they've made over the last few years. And
Oh yeah, the whole like, oh, you're kind of joining at a low point, you know?
yeah, like they definitely were able to laugh at themselves a little bit more than I expected. But yeah, overall, this movie was just a really fun time. Like I haven't rewatched it yet, but part of me really wants to, even though right now the calendar is full of movies still coming down the pipeline. But
Mhm.
it's a blast to watch. And if you haven't seen it yet, sorry for spoiling it, but you should have probably seen it by now.
Yeah, it's probably everywhere. But yeah, I just with Logan, his whole thing, like, oh, he's the worst Wolverine, and he did this unspeakable thing, and then the unspeakable thing. I mean, this has been said online. I'm not reinventing the wheel here, but like it's
No.
just like not that bad. And I kind of expected it to be much worse. And then Logan, not Logan, Deadpool, Wade Wilson, his whole internal conflict didn't make any sense to me. And I think the problem is Deadpool 2 didn't leave us in a good place going forward because the time travel sequence is cute and funny, in the credits, like that's real cute, haha. But like bringing back his girlfriend slash wife, really like lowers the stakes a lot. Deadpool already can't die, so can Wolverine, you know what I mean? But like, now that we could bring back just regular human beings, and then we did nothing when we brought her back, like she's barely in this movie at all. And then her whole thing about he wants him to like get more of his potential, and so he wants to join the Avengers, and none of that worked for me at all.
Yeah, harkening back to the storyline here, I truly believe that they had no intention when they ended Deadpool 2 that they were actually going to be able to even make Deadpool and Wolverine anytime soon, even though that had been an idea for a while of making like a Deadpool Wolverine road trip movie was like something that Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman had talked about for years before it ever happened. So that was the only bad part here, where I feel like they got so excited they were able to finally make this movie that they really didn't have an idea of where to go story wise. They just had an idea of all the fun action pieces that they knew everyone was gonna love. So yeah. But when it comes to the actual like getting character moments and things like that, that's where the movie falls the shortest.
And I do appreciate how they attempt to overcome the time travel issue, the multiverse concept. Like you said, the way that they dealt with Logan, was really good. That was perfectly on brand. But and then the concept of like anchor beings, and like it gets kind of meta there because like people fans of the X-Men always complain that Wolverine is the center of focus, and it's not that way in the comics. So it's funny that this universe's anchor being would be Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
And so I enjoy that. I think that's fun. I think one of the more fun cameo-y parts was when we go through all the different types of Wolverine.
Hmm.
Some of those in particular are like really fun. But yeah, I don't know. I just I really didn't like, what was it, the bald lady. I don't want to
Oh,
reveal what her like, relationship is. But she was just so overpowered, and then she didn't really feel like she had much of like personal beef with Deadpool and Wolverine, and then she didn't really have like a cool plan besides like, I want to rule, I want to be powerful.
yeah. There's more interesting stuff to that character in the comics, but they
Mhm,
definitely didn't flesh her out as much as they could have, I think, in my opinion. But
mhm.
yeah, there's a lot to, especially a lot of these fun X-Men characters that they're slowly introducing in this one that I really hope the MCU takes a really good crack when they do the X-Men stuff more, because
Mhm.
there's a lot of really fun stuff they can do here with a lot of these different characters. And I mean, are I if we're done wrapping up with, are we good with Deadpool and Wolverine?
Oh, I just want to say as well, the other villain, the guy from Succession, I know people really like him and they love the him, screaming fuck joke, that sound bites all over TikTok. I didn't like him either. I was like, what, why does he want what he wants? There's no personal beef here. I mean, like, I get it. It really is more about the relationship between Deadpool and Wolverine. I wish that the movie was just called Deadpool versus Wolverine, because then you can kind of frame it. That kind of excuses the villains being like weak, because it's like, well, that's not the main like conflict in the movie is between Deadpool and the villains. Deadpool, Wolverine, and the villains. It's Deadpool versus Wolverine, and then there's other problems, kind of like how BVS, and then immediately it's the greatest versus movie outside of like Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so you kind of like lower the bar of like expectations. And there is like that. The most fun parts of the movie are Deadpool versus Wolverine.
Yes,
You know what I'm
those
saying?
both those fighting scenes are by far the best scenes of the movie, bar none. And they're so much fun. But yeah, the villain's not that great. I was really hoping that I never saw season 2 of Loki, but
Mm.
Owen Wilson was part of the whole Time Bureau stuff, and I was really hoping he was going to make a cameo of some sort in this movie, but he never did. We only got the one, I forget what her name is, the black lady. She shows up at the end. She's from Loki, and she was great. But I was really sad that we didn't get like an Owen Wilson drop in, just because, especially with all of these funny people around, that having Owen Wilson in there would have been fun. But yeah, overall, this is a fun movie, but yeah, lacking in villain and story for sure.
I do have a good question for you. Post Endgame, how many Marvel movies are better? MCU movies are better than this movie? Because I would go Guardians 3 for
Yeah, let's say
sure.
Guardians 3 for sure.
I would also go Wakanda Forever, for me personally.
Yeah, I wouldn't for my own personal taste, just because that's one movie like I haven't gone back to rewatch, nor have I got the itch to too much. Like
Mhm.
I love all the tribute stuff to Chadwick in it, but the story itself, it's good, but it's not anything I really loved that much.
I would also take Far From Home, but not No Way Home for obvious reasons.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't actually. I'd probably put this above Far From Home too.
But yeah, no,
Wait,
it's one of the better. No, I'm saying I would take Far From Home over this.
Yeah, no, I would take Deadpool and Wolverine over it.
So this is one of the better,
Yeah, for
MCU
me,
things.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm hopeful that they continue seeing the success of this. Don't try to make everything rated R or anything silly like that, but definitely take more chances. Like one of the things on Disney Plus that I've loved the most over the last few years was when they did the Werewolf by Night thing where they had Michael Giacchino or whatever
Mm,
direct the first thing he's ever directed, and he did like a little horror thing with some Marvel characters, and it was just an hour long thing. But I was hopeful that they would do more stuff of like Halloween specials or something like that, just fun stuff that we don't really get Marvel horror that much. But
mm,
unfortunately, it hasn't really gone in that direction. But I'm hoping with more success stuff like this that maybe we'll take more chances and try different genres and things like that.
hmm I'm also done with. I'm cool if we don't see either of these characters ever again, Deadpool or Wolverine. Like,
Yeah.
I'm happy, especially
And,
Wolverine, but like Deadpool, give me more Deadpool.
I mean, not never again, but give it some time to breathe. We don't need another Deadpool movie next year or anything like that. Like, let's give it some time. Deadpool can pop up as cameos in other Marvel movies and fuck around in the scenes or whatever. That would be fun. But yeah, we don't need another Deadpool movie right away, I don't think. Like, give it some time to breathe with this movie because it has some legs, especially once it gets on Disney Plus. This movie's gonna be watched so much.
hmm Also, another thing I would want to bring up before we moved on was a lot of people are praising the opening credits sequence.
Yeah,
And while I think it's fun, I think that it's massively overrated for two reasons. Number one, the fact that that's not Ryan Reynolds in the suit doing the move
yeah.
is really lame to me. Especially when you hear the story of the guy who got the part. He literally was like, "Yeah, I heard about the part from my agent that it was huge. And so that day I just like practiced it all day and then I got the role and I did it." And it's like, "Oh, so this is something you could easily learn in like a whole day." You know what I mean? Like, and I don't care if it's perfect. If anything, it's funnier if it's not perfect. So
Exactly.
I think it's really lame of Ryan Reynolds to not do the dance.
I can
And
understand why, just with how much shit he's in all the time, but yeah, if it only takes a day to actually do the whole shooting of it, then you probably could have done it, but I get it.
and then I just think that like filmmaking wise, like I think it's not as creative. Like the whole thing with the bones is like cute, but like I feel like visually the first movie opening credits were better with the car flipping. And then I really
Well,
like the James Bond Ashes Celine Dion thing in the second one.
well, and not only that, but we set up the first two movies with such a fun opening credit scene with like doing jokes of all the different people's names and stuff like that, and we didn't do that with this one, and it felt so primed to do that. Of like
Mm.
the asshole from Logan or whatever, the dead asshole. Like, you could have made so many stupid little punches like that, like they did in the first movie, but that was one thing that disappointed me. But I mean, I'll never complain for NSYNC because NSYNC has been one of my favorite bands since I was like 3 years old. So
You know, and
that
I
was
love the sequence and the songs back in my front of my brain, but also like the dance has nothing to do with the action sequence that's involved.
yeah.
So like it just feels like they were like the bit doesn't match what's happening, and so I thought that that was like I don't know, I just think it's overrated. I don't know. I think it's brilliant that the movie came out like 7 years after, or I guess 6 years after the last one. Give us some
Mhm.
space because there's a faction of people, large faction actually, that like really hates Deadpool and really hates these movies and thinks they're super cringy.
Yeah.
But so giving us some distance and letting us want Deadpool more, is really great.
Hmm. Absolutely agree.
Mm. But yeah, 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I probably am closer to that, but I give it the five just because I had so much, like I literally had a shit-eating grin on my face the whole time. So
Hmm
but jumping in, we were talking about all the different multiverse stuff. Let's jump into just a bit of news since we've had D23 and Comic-Con since we've done this last. So we get the news of where Marvel's going after this. Personally, I saw everyone freak out and get pissed off about Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom. But for me, I am a huge fan of Doctor Doom, especially from the comic book series. And there are comics that I'm not familiar with that do have the multiverse of Iron Man's, but he's not Iron Man. He is Doctor Doom, Tony Stark. And I'm very interested to see where they go with this because Doctor Doom is one of the most powerful beings in the MCU. I mean, we were gonna have Kang, and that was cool, but I think this is gonna be way better.
Yeah, I am actually surprisingly staunchly pro Robert Downey Jr. coming back. I think like my initial reaction was like, "What? No, why? Who?" But then I was like, "Oh, it's gonna be like a prequel thing. Like it's gonna rhyme narratively with like the earlier Marvel movies, and specifically Tony Stark's timeline. Like I bet it's gonna be a Tony Stark variant. It's actually evil." And like I saw a tweet that was like really like hit me personally because they were like, "Oh, there's gonna be a scene where Tom Holland is like fucking 30 and he like, is fighting Doctor Doom and Doctor Doom's mask comes off and he's like, Mr. Stark?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's what I want,"
Hmm.
because in the tweet it was like the minions clapping and I was like, "Yep, that's me
Yeah,
one the
that'll be me,
minions."
and I'll fucking love it. I'll be crying like a little baby.
Yeah, and I think it'll be really cute when it rhymes. And also, okay, so the Russo brothers, they have nothing else better to do,
Yeah.
because all of their stuff that they've done outside of Marvel's really sucks since Endgame. But I am happy that they're coming back because they made 4 Marvel movies and all of them were great.
Hmm.
Top 10 Marvel movies. So who cares? And then Robert Downey Jr., you know, I like that because I don't think he would come back unless he really wanted to, or you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because you already have a decade's worth of Iron Man money. You just won an Oscar, so
Yeah,
why wouldn't you do it unless you wanted to?
that is the thing that made me laugh the most when it came to people like, oh, yeah, he just came back because he missed those Marvel checks. It's like, dude, if you knew how Hollywood worked, Robert Downey Jr. did not have to come back. His wife is also a big time producer. So they
Hmm.
make enough money where Robert Downey Jr. can pick and choose whatever the hell he wants to do at this point. He doesn't need a paycheck. He could literally live off of what he's already made, but he's doing it because he loves what he does. And I have a feeling it's not going to be the Iron Man that people are expecting. Like Doctor Doom is a big bad. There's no really redeeming qualities about him. Like you get to see that a little bit. Like I love the guy that played him in the original Fantastic Four movies. He was on, I don't even remember his name, but
I don't
he
either.
was he was good as Doctor Doom. He's exactly what I pictured. And for the last few years, when Fantastic Four was getting thrown around, I was so nervous of the casting of Doctor Doom. Like I couldn't have gave a shit about the rest of the Fantastic Four, even though eventually they did get casted pretty damn well. But I think it's still going to be so cool. And Robert Downey Jr. kind of showed that he could be a villain, especially in like Oppenheimer and things like that. So I'm excited to see him go full just evil.
It's Julian McMahon,
Yes.
from the original one.
Yeah, he was in a
Uh,
show called Nip Tuck or something on FX at one point. He got really popular on that, but
mhm. Yeah, I think I'm excited mostly just because like we've been talking about how long have we not had a direction, in the MCU, you know what I mean? Like even in the first phase, we already established, that Loki was going to be the villain of the Avengers movie, you know what I mean? And then this is like the first time since Age of Ultron that we've had an Avengers villain who's just going to show up in the Avengers movie. Like, yeah, he probably will show up in Fantastic Four,
mhm.
but like, I don't know. Well, also, I don't know a lot about that movie because there's a trailer out, but the script's not finished yet, and they haven't even started shooting. Meanwhile, Superman, who's supposed to come out in the same month, is already done, completely done filming. So,
Yeah.
you tell me which one's going to be better. You know what I
I
mean?
I have a feeling that especially like this whole Robert Downey Jr. thing wouldn't have happened too at this point had the whole Jonathan Majors stuff not gone down the way it did. Because they were planning on making Kang the big bad for a while and then probably gonna go to Doctor Doom down the road. But once they had to pull the fucking lever on that shit, they kind of had to just totally flip the plan. And it still feels like they're just running around like chickens with their heads cut off at this point, just trying to find some direction. But they're
Mhm.
making the right steps at this point. Like Deadpool and Wolverine gave us promise that Kevin Feige still has some things working for him. And a lot of these plans, yeah, it seems like some might be crazy still, but I have a good feeling about Fantastic Four, hopefully, and the directions seem to be going the right way, but fingers crossed because I'm excited to see especially Doctor Doom just take over the MCU because that'll just be so much fun.
I love every Avengers movie. So just having another Avengers movie, let alone two, is like great. Whatever you got, give it to me. I'm very nervous about Fantastic Four. I mean, clearly this is a like concept that we just have proven that we cannot cinematically accomplish. And then all the like stuff I just said about them, waiting to the last second for everything is really makes me nervous. I really am afraid about Brave New World, the new Captain America movie. I think that that looks kind of shaky. I think that Thunderbolts, the trailer leaked today. I didn't watch it. I hate that shit. Like I like I'm at the point where I'm like mad about it, because it's like all the characters that you do not care about at all are back, and they're some of the worst characters in the entire MCU. And then there's a team about them, and they do what exactly? And like they're like, oh yeah, the Thunderbolts are going to be in the Avengers movie, the next Avengers movie, and I'm like, oh why? No, I don't want them. I don't care about them. But after that, then we get an Avengers movie or two, and I'm like, okay, fine.
Yeah, and we're getting Agatha at some point on Disney Plus and whatnot, like, which is cool, whatever. I liked WandaVision, but yeah, I feel like while I talked about them, I want them to spread out more. While they did a little bit, they're still like everything is still, oh, superhero does this, villain does this, it's over. Just do something else a little bit. Change up the genre. Like I said, do a little horror, do a little whatever, do a little action thriller. Like one of the best Marvel movies, with it being Captain America Winter Soldier, is a spy espionage thriller. It's not really the typical superhero movie. And I mean, Thor Ragnarok is basically a comedy. There's not really a bunch of superhero stuff in that one. Like
Mhm.
the ones that aren't the cookie cutter superhero movies are usually the better ones. So I wish Marvel would just take more chances like that because it seems to pay off at least sometimes.
Yeah, I'm out of all the TV show stuff. I agree that I like stuff like Werewolf by Night, and the Guardians holiday special and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just interesting direction. Now we have a direction, and
Yep.
that's what I'm really excited about. The D23, unless there's anything else about Marvel you want to talk about.
Nope.
The D23 news that got me in particularly like woo is Avatar Fire and Ash, which I don't know anything about any other potential titles that there could have possibly been, but I do know that I had higher hopes for the title than this. I think I understand. I before James Cameron even explained it, I was like, I know what you mean by Fire and Ash. I understand the thematic purpose of that title. But then he explained it, and I was like, yes, that's exactly what I thought you were talking about. But really, the thing that I'm excited about, just the imagery, just the like white, like ish reddish, Navi with like the like Dilophosaurus like
Yeah.
things, and then they got the braids on them and everything, and it just looks super fucking sick. And everything that James Cameron's talking about, it just sounds awesome. He is the greatest science fiction director of all time, and I love Avatar so much.
Yeah, even as someone who staunchly does not like the first Avatar movie, the second one I really enjoyed. So I'm looking forward to see where these movies take us now. Like when I first heard we were getting five of these fucking movies, trust me, I was the first one running out of that door. But after that second one, I'm much more open to them now and very curious to see where it goes. But while we have that, there was other announcements that I'm kind of iffy about. One of them being they revealed more stuff about the new Lilo and Stitch live action remake, which, as someone who literally saw the first Lilo and Stitch in theaters as a child, and it's one of my favorite Disney movies, does make me feel really fucking old that we have to remake it already. But will I still go watch it? Yeah.
Mhm.
Am I going to be
Yeah,
happy? I hope so, but
yeah, it's gonna be shit.
yeah.
It's fine. I don't know. It's got a little bit different of a circumstance because Lilo and Stitch isn't a musical, and so a lot of the more offensive live action remakes were because they messed with the music.
Mhm.
And here you can't really do that. I mean, there's Hawaiian Roller Coaster Ride, but like I don't care if you do an updated version of that. Like that's not gonna hurt my feelings. And then they might not do all the Elvis stuff. I have no clue, but I don't know. I think it looks fine. It's very like dull colored. Someone did a color correction thing of it, made it more like blue, like this kind of blue, and I was
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah, I have a
But
feeling that they'll probably, hopefully, by the time the movie comes out, maybe he wasn't finished yet. Because I did notice that too, that he looked a little off. But if they do that and they keep the heart of the story, especially with Lilo and her sister, that's the part that matters the most to me about Lilo and Stitch. Just because I just love that whole dynamic between the two of them, and it's really a bit about family and everything, and about chosen family almost a bit too with the other characters. And
mhm.
yeah, the part that interests me the most about this whole live action thing too is like characters like Jabba and Pleakley and things like that, like how
Jumbo.
Jumba, yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
and how like weird they're going to look in the real world setting. I just hope it's not too jarring in a way, you know what I'm saying? Like too weird.
No, I'm beaten. I am like I've been beat up too many times. I know it's gonna look just as moronic and stupid and blasphemous as like, what was the fish in Finding Nemo? Not Finding Nemo, Little Mermaid. Oh
Oh,
my God.
oh,
Flip
Flounder.
it Flounder, yeah.
Yeah.
Just like that. It's gonna look just like the Sebastian the Crab. It's gonna look just like the Beast. It's gonna look just like all the Lion King characters. It's gonna look stupid and ugly and bad. And I have zero hope for any of these. And then director Jail. Who directed this one? I'm gonna put
I
him in jail right now.
truly do not know. Like I'm very curious actually to know who is working on this and what they did to earn it. Because I
Oh, that's so sad. Dean Fleischer Camp, who did Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. Oh
I
no.
love that movie too. He
That's
did all
okay,
that
but jail.
he did all that amazing. The craziest part is that movie is like stop motion and there's so much cool shit that he had to do for that. That to know that he's doing basically like an animated, I really hope it's not, but it feels like it's going to be an animated abomination of my childhood, and it just kind of makes me sad because like I mean, if kids love it when it comes out, then I guess fuck me because that's what it's supposed to be. But if it comes out and everyone hates it, then it's a big fuck you to Mr. Fleischer, whatever you want to say.
Yeah, no, I have zero hope whatsoever for the Lilo and Stitch live action movie. I think the max it could be is like a 3 out of 5.
Oh
I
yeah,
I,
for
I hate
sure.
this. I hate it so
Well,
much.
the best part though is that we still have the great animated show too on Disney Channel. It's on Disney Plus that I still go back and watch all the time. So,
Oh yeah, da Ohana.
dude,
Right?
I just found recently too that there was a Japanese like anime version of Stitch too that only aired in Japan. But if you have a VPN, you can change your VPN to Japan and go on Disney Plus and watch it.
Oh wow, that's fun.
But yeah,
I
there's like
love
a whole
Stitch. Stitch is one of my favorite characters of all time.
me too.
And I will say that's an expectation I have. If they do the marketing, because they did a thing where they showed the Disney logo and then Stitch jumps out of it like he's ripping through paper, and that's cool. But they
Yeah.
better do other shit like that, or I'm
Because
mad. This better be like Disney live action Deadpool, you
well,
know?
if you remember, because you were even younger than I was back then, but on Disney Channel, back when the movie was coming out, they would like air, and I think they even did it in theaters and stuff too, when they aired like trailers for the movie, and they'd be playing like Beauty and the Beast or something when they're
Yeah.
dancing in the ballroom,
And
and then he
Stitch is
rips
up in the
through.
ballroom. Yeah.
Yeah, and
No,
just
that's not
different.
exactly what I'm talking about. They better do
Yeah,
stuff like that, or I'm gonna be mad.
yeah, because that is probably what got me wanting to watch it the most as a kid, is just seeing like this crazy little monster getting in all the different Disney movies and shit like that. Because like crossover things like that when we were kids weren't a thing as much as they are now with multiverse and shit. So just seeing that kind of stuff was like, oh my God, what is this little character doing to all the Disney movies? I got to see what this is.
Yeah, what's his deal?
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. At the end of the day, I'm an adult man who's like exceedingly upset about a family film for children. So I understand my like where I what I sound like, but like,
Oh no,
yeah, no, this is dog shit. You
I
know
have
what I
a
mean?
Stitch Squishmallow across the room from me right now, so trust me, I know.
Mhm. Speaking of dog shit, we have the Mufasa trailer that's out. I kind of avoided it, but then I had people tell me to watch it, and I did. And the first teaser trailer sucked too, because it's like, why are we in the frozen area? Why is he not having a drop of noble blood? I thought he was brothers with Scar. Why are we
I
still doing the exact same animation style?
I have not watched it yet, but I saw, I can't remember where it was, if it was on Twitter or whatever social media it was, but it said, damn, if I was Scar and I found out that Mufasa came to be king and he wasn't even royal blood, I would have killed him too, or something like that. It's like, yeah, he's
Yeah.
justified.
Well, that's the thing. They're trying to make it justified. Whereas, like, I didn't need that explanation. You know what I
No.
mean? Like, I understood that, like, oh, they're brothers, and one had the better gene, and he was jealous, and so he wanted to kill him, and like that all tracks right there. Whereas I feel like the sister movie for Mufasa this year, narratively, is Transformers One, because that's also a prequel where we're showing how the main figurehead of the good guys and the main figurehead of the bad guys, once upon a time, were best friends. And this is like a prequel that's kind of showing like how they became mortal enemies. And I mean, I guess they weren't mortal enemies in Lion King. I mean, secretly they were, to Scar they were.
Yeah,
Uh,
one-sided.
yeah, but that's different because like I said, I understand already from the first movie why they don't like each other in Lion King. But from Transformers, it's like, yeah, there was centuries worth of race war between our side and their side, intergalactic, space battles and everything. And it's like, that sounds really cool. I would love to see that. Whereas this is just like, yeah, we were all lions, and there were some white lions, and but he wasn't a royal lion. And then a thing that really bothers me about it, and I don't know if you know this yet, but the movie is going to be framed around Rafiki is telling the story of Mufasa's childhood to what seems to be the daughter of Simba. And Timon and Pumbaa are there. And they kind of interject in and they're like, oh, so we're not in this story. Why don't you tell a different story? Like, we have so many great adventures. Bullshit. Fucking Disney trying to make so many fucking sequels. That makes me so mad. I
Hey,
hate that line so
Timon and
much.
Pumbaa did have their own TV show for a while on Disney Channel too when I was a kid. They went
Yeah,
on
but that's not what they're
adventures.
talking about. They're talking about making other live action Lion King movies with like Simba and all this stuff, like the big
Okay.
team,
The only one I would take is Timon and Pumbaa team up, just because Billy Eichner and Seth Rogen is just fun.
I support you, man. I don't support the take, but I support you. I hate everyone in that movie. I hate that movie so much. And so like I just know that the entirety of this movie is gonna be like, we're gonna be in a dire situation, and we're just gonna hear Billy Eichner's voice be like, whoa, did they die? And then we're gonna cut back to modern day and throughout.
So you're telling me right now you don't want to know the origins of Zazu?
No, God no. I don't even think John Oliver is back. Let me check look that up. His
Yeah,
voice in the trailer sounds different.
I wouldn't be shocked. He has his
Mhm.
own stuff going on.
Well, he was like one of the worst like performances there. I mean, everyone's awful. Everyone is awful. But like he's one of the in
Donald Glover
particular
sang
worst
pretty good.
ones. It, sure. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm so like anti this. Yeah, so Donald Glover is coming back, and so is Beyonce. Yeah, but we knew that. Yeah,
Yeah.
Zazu is voiced by Preston Nyman, who was in nothing of
Oh,
substance
also,
besides
I've
TV.
never heard that name before.
Yeah, so thank God that they removed him and his bum ass. But like, yeah, I have nothing nice to say. That movie looks awful, and I hate it.
No, yeah, I've not watched the trailer, so I have no idea what anything is. But the framing, like when I saw that Donald Glover and Beyonce are on it, I think I was talking to somebody about it, and I was like, yeah, it's like exactly what you said too. I was like, they're just gonna frame it as someone's telling the story, whether it's Simba telling his kid or something, or like you said, Rafiki telling the story. I was like, regardless, someone's gonna be telling an old story, blah blah blah, and yeah, it's gonna go back and forth. Like Princess Bride was one of the earliest things I can always think about when it comes to going back and forth in a story, but in that movie it makes sense because the grandpa is literally reading it out of a storybook. But
Mm.
yeah, it's an
Bold
overused
prediction.
trope.
I have a prediction for you. So you've seen Lion King 2, Simba's Pride, right?
Yeah, it's been a long time, but yeah.
I like that movie. I think there's some good numbers, like the He Lives in You, the opening number is pretty good. But I think that it's going to be similar to the plot of Did you ever see Mamma Mia? Here we go again.
I haven't seen either of them.
Okay, so Mamma Mia, here we go again. This is so much context. So Mamma Mia has like a plot, right? It's one
Oh, I
plot or in one timeline, and
where
you
it's
know what
like the
Mamma Mia
mom
is.
being like a hoe and she has all the different dads and whatnot. He's trying to figure out which one her dad is.
Well, excuse you. That's Meryl Streep we're talking about. But yeah, no, basically we don't know which one of the dads it is, and Amanda Seyfried's getting married, and she invites all three of them, blah blah blah, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So Mamma Mia, here we go again. We're in modern day, and Amanda Seyfried is trying to host some kind of event, and it doesn't matter.
I
And
remember now. I've seen the trailer. Yeah.
yeah,
It
but
goes
the
like to
whole
Meryl
time we're
Streep as a little
like,
young girl.
yeah, it's Lily James. So it's like two parallel stories going on at the same time. They kind of mirror each other a little bit, not really at all.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to do that here, right? So
Oh.
we're showing all the Mufasa scenes in the trailer, right? But what we're not showing is how there's a parallel storyline going on in modern day where Simba, because why else would you have Simba and Beyonce in the movie if they
Yeah.
didn't have a significant role?
Why would you pay Donald Glover and Beyonce?
Yeah, so they're going to have a storyline where like I don't know, the kid's pretty young, but like I gotta believe there's like something where they combine the plot of Simba's Pride with the plot that we're seeing in Mufasa. So the daughter finds a
Or is it just
mate
going to be all
of
set
a
up
different
for a new
breed.
Lion King?
Oh my God, I'm so upset.
I feel like that's
I'm so
like
broken. I'm so
I want you to be right because I want new parts of this movie, so it's not just a flat out
No,
butting up
I
to
want to be
retelling.
wrong because then it would just be a retelling of Simba's Pride. Like, I don't know, but it just looks so bad. They're the white lions, and I don't get it. And like Scar loves Mufasa, and I'm so upset. I'm broken. I am so broken at this moment, you know?
Well, yeah, in like my theater, I can't remember if they've started the re-release yet because I know they're about to re-release the first Lion King like at the
They did
same
in my
time.
theaters like a month ago.
Okay, yeah. So I was like, they're definitely just trying to get everyone like being like, oh yeah, remember? Want to go back and remember even further back that you don't actually remember, but
Mhm.
you'll remember more about your childhood. It's like, no, just tell me a new story if you want me to do that. That's the only thing that makes me just irritated. It's like at this point, if you really got an idea, just tell me the new idea. If you need to
Mm.
make a sequel, just make a sequel. Because making all of these prequels, a lot of times they just don't work that well. Because like the exception for me, not to some other people, Furiosa this year, that was one that filled in stuff and did well. But at the same time, I can see where people would be like, why don't we just get another Mad Max movie, even though that'll never happen. But
Yeah, you're right. There are some weird people who don't like Furiosa. I've noticed as well. But Furious is great. Yeah, no, this is all the Lion King stuff. It's all bad. I hate it all, and I'm really upset about it. But fuck it. Moving on to some like different things. I called one of the announcements. They were like hyping up a new Pixar announcement, and I was like, "Oh, it's going to be Incredibles 3," because I just kind of did basic math and was like, "Well, it's not another this, it's not another that. They've already announced this, and they would never
yeah,
do a sequel
and
to that." And I was like, "Well,
it's
obviously we're going to get Incredibles
impossible
3."
it's impossible to avoid the success of Incredibles 2 after all those years too. So like yeah, especially with superhero movies still being at the front of everyone's brain, everything makes sense for Incredibles 3. Do we need it? No. Incredibles 2 was an ending that I loved. But at the same time, I've said that about other movies too, and they've made more. Toy Story being a good example of
I was about
that.
to say, harken back to one of my favorite moments of the show is when you were like upset about that, and they're doing the new one, and no surprise, again, I'm like, "Yep, let's go, baby."
And yeah, similar to your feelings on Toy Story is exactly how I feel about Incredibles. I'm never gonna say no to an Incredibles movie as long as they stay at the caliber that they've been making them so far. If third one falls short, then yeah, pull the plug. We're done here. But especially like I don't know if Brad Bird's still gonna be involved, but especially if Brad Bird is making it, here 100%.
Well, he's doing $100+ million original science fiction animated movie for Netflix. So I don't think so. And honestly,
Producer then?
good. Yeah, produced, sure. But like I'm ready for new blood. Like the last Incredibles was definitely a step down from the first. So I'm like, okay, let's get a fresh perspective. And then I would love to ask you this question. Are we following the same like timeline as the from the first to the second? Like, are they still going to be kids and babies, or are they going to age them up in this one?
I hope we do age up a bit more. at least like Violet College dash high school, Jack being at least like a toddler. I think that would be more fun. Especially having Jack just being more involved with like powers and stuff. Like he's a fun comedic relief character, but I just feel like there's more to Jack that we haven't got yet. And if they really want to do something fun with it, I mean, even have one of the characters, like one of the kids fucking breaks away from the family or something, or someone becomes the villain that they have to come after. Do something really bold. Don't just do the same, because the second one is kind of it takes a few different things with the story, but it doesn't do as much as you kind of want. Like I want it
Hmm.
to be more, I don't know, more action heavy a little bit.
I hope you're right. I don't think you are, though. I think that they will, the most famous parts about that first movie are math is math. He's teaching them like grade school stuff. Num Num Cookie, Jack with all the powers and, being a
Hmm.
silly little cute little baby. And, part of what makes the Incredibles such a great superhero team, such a unique feeling superhero team compared to everything else is that it is a family unit. Your typical like mom, dad, daughter, son, baby. If you age them up and they're all adults, then it's just the Avengers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like an adult superhero team. So
Yeah.
I agree it would be interesting if they age with me, but like also I'm totally fine if it's like just another because I'm ready to see like what happened to Bomb Voyage. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
let's see what's going on there, you know?
I agree 100%. They don't need to age them up if they don't want to.
Hmm. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm always down for an Incredibles 3. That's like the sequel that everyone wanted. Toy Story 4, 5. Did you hear about the concept for Toy Story 5? So the image is of a child on their iPad, like they got like a blanket over them, and they're plugged into the iPad, and then all the toys are at the foot of the bed, being like, "Oh no, like how are we going to get the attention from this kid away from the
Okay.
iPad?"
Yeah, I'm
And now the weird thing about it is here's the character sitting at the foot of the bed. It is Forky, so we know it's post Toy Story 4, Buzz, and Woody. Now, there's more, but like that's all that really matters, right?
yeah.
Because why is Woody back with the gang?
Yeah, they better explain that. It's annoying.
Like that's the cool. I just rewatched Toy Story 4. Lovely, amazing, perfect movie. I literally said this the other day. My hot take was I think Toy Story 4 is better than every single Star Wars movie outside of the original trilogy. But what a weird way to frame. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
okay. But like I love Toy Story 5. I cried. It's hilarious. The animation's gorgeous. I love where we're left off at the end of that movie. And so, with this new one, it's like, okay, well, why is Woody back? You know what I mean? You got to kind of explain that to me. Who's the kid? Is it Bonnie? Because especially if it's Bonnie, I'm like, what the fuck? But I don't know. I'm down. Like I said, if you keep making good movies, I'll be there for them. You know what I mean?
This could be like a children's horror movie almost. Because like, what's a toy's biggest nightmare? A fucking iPad.
Yeah, it sounds like more of like a TV episode, like a special. Like I don't know how it's gonna be a whole movie, but like I said, fuck it. If they're gonna keep making good movies, they've hit a home run. To me personally, every time they've done a Toy Story or even a Toy Story related movie, it's been a home run. Now, fuck it though. You know what I mean? Like nothing's sacred. Just do whatever you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then Hoppers. How did you hear about Hoppers? Yeah, it's a solo movie about Kevin Spacey's character from Bugs Life, Hopper. No, I'm kidding.
Mm.
It's a original animated movie from the We Bare Bears creator. Did you ever watch that show? I know you're
I've
posted on
I've
Cartoon Network today.
yeah, I've watched it a few times.
Yeah, well, basically something about like a girl puts her brain into the brain of a rabbit, and it's really nice to hear because it's like it's kind of sounds similar to like something like a Turning Red or a Luca. And we did a puzzle, and that's why I watched like 10 fucking Pixar movies this month because it was 1,000 pieces. It was a very difficult puzzle, and we're just watching Pixar movies on repeat. Uh, and so like rewatching Turning Red and Luca, I was telling Lauren, I was like, well, appreciate it while you can because we're never gonna get movies like this again, according to Pete Docter.
Yeah.
And so it's nice that we are getting something like that, which is good. And Elio,
Yeah.
Um, Do you care about any of the parks news? Does that matter to you at all? I mean, you're in Michigan.
Yeah, I honestly don't really know a whole lot about what's going on down there. I legitimately haven't stepped foot in Disney Park, even though I lived in Florida for those 2 years since like
Mhm.
the year 2000.
Yeah, it's basically the big drama around it is like certain things are going to replace old things. Like I love the dinosaur ride, and I think Indiana Jones is going in there, and it's like no.
Yeah,
And then even though that sounds cool, there's a Monsters Inc. land that's replacing the Muppet Land.
I saw
People are
that.
mad about that. And then just and a lot of it's like scattered. Like there's certain things going on in California, certain things in Orlando, and then certain things in like fucking like
Japan.
France,
Yeah.
yeah, Japan, like whatever. So, but yeah, any other new movie-ish new? Oh, Mandalorian and Grogu. Did you see that little trailer? It was
Mm-mm.
leaked. Yeah, the John Favreau is directing the Mandalorian and Grogu. I'm off this. I care very little. I think actually the funny thing about it is the fact that the show has zero respect for its own narrative kind of helps the movie because it's like the plot of the show is, the Mandalorian finds, this little creature and this changes his ways and now he decides to, forms a bond with it and he decides that it's his little buddy. And then the end of the second season, he's like, okay, well, it's not responsible for me to keep him. I need to put him with his people where he can be trained with his powers, would be safe, blah, 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 whatever, right? And then the fact that the show continues on after that and he's reunited with Grogu and we're just back to square one is like, great. Yeah, just do a movie. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you don't need any kind of catch up. Just watch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, unfortunately, I never finished. I literally watched the first episode of the third season. Never watched a single episode after that, even though I didn't dislike it, and I haven't watched any Disney Plus Star Wars or Marvel stuff for that matter in a very long time. Not only because I've been working, just because I don't really have as much of a investment that I used to. Like the stories just didn't really grab me anymore. So like while I'll still go watch any Star Wars movies that comes to theaters, I'm
Mhm.
not gonna go run out because, like you said, the trailer was leaked. I didn't even know that until you literally told me just now. That's
Mhm.
how disconnected I am from like news and stuff like that lately. So, like, I'm interested to watch the movie when it comes out, but am I like eager to come out and like staring at the release date? Nah. I'll see it when it comes
Mhm.
out, but for right now, it's not really occupying any space in my brain.
No, the funny thing is my mom really likes Baby Yoda, but she read the title for it and she said Mandalorian and Grago, and she does not know what Grogu is what my point is. She loves Baby Yoda. Think
Yeah,
about that. She owns merchandise of
yeah.
Baby Yoda and has no idea that his name is Grogu and that the title of the next movie is called Mandalorian and Grogu. What a disaster. I get why they can't call it Baby Yoda, but like this is stupid. Star Wars is stupid. I look, I got my Mandalorian helmets. There's change in there. I
Hell
just put
yeah.
no pennies and nickels and then dimes and quarters in that one. But yeah, no, I'm anti Star Wars. Fuck Star Wars. I hate everything and I hate movies. Like I'm so upset about everything. Um,
Well, let's keep you in that negativity pool
oh
then.
God,
Jump us
yeah.
back into a movie because there's a movie that I saw a few weeks ago that someone here rated pretty damn low, and I need an explanation on
Oh,
that. No, we'll jump to that one in a minute.
I just hate everything today.
We'll jump to that one in a minute. We're gonna go a little bit further back in time though. Nicolas
Mhm.
Cage was in a movie this year that was really fucking good, made by Oz Perkins, and Adam
Yeah,
didn't like it. Why do you
yeah.
not like long legs?
Oh, you mean mid legs?
Yeah, mid
Well,
legs, damn it. That was
no,
good.
no, I can't even claim credit for that. My friends had been calling it that, but it was just so true because I got to it so late, and I thought it was going to be a scenario of like because everyone had been hyping it up for so long, but also like I was kind of upset about it because an off-duty Regal employee after like the first night came right by my cabinet and loudly started like so he's like, oh, I knew that so and so was going to be in at the end. And I was like,
I
well,
forgot that that was the case for you until just now.
yeah, so it is a tainted experience. I think that the atmosphere and the mood is wonderful. Like the vibe is really great. I really hated Maika Monroe's character. I thought she was extremely off-putting and like entirely unrelatable and boring and stale. Like, it's no secret that this is like taking, even Oz Perkins has come out and been like, yeah, or is it Osgood Perkins?
Yes,
Yeah, he came out and was like, oh, well, I really took a lot from like Silence of the Lambs. We know that Clarice Starling was like an
darling. Yeah, yeah.
interesting character, right? Like she was likable and relatable in ways. Like Maika Monroe is just she's so quiet and like a robot
Yeah,
the
well,
entire time.
yes and no with Clarice, because at the same time she is very like stoic a lot and doesn't. It's almost her thing of like not showing her emotions because she's a woman in the FBI that doesn't really belong there. But with Micah Monroe's character, I feel like it's almost trying to show you before it's obviously revealed later of she has trauma for different reasons, and
Mm.
I feel like that might be playing more into the character of her being so cold, but at the same time, like even though she's cold, she like is still nice to the little girl and things like that. Like there's very I liked the character just because it was so odd, but at the same time, like you could tell that she meant well. She was just so
Mm.
disturbed in a way.
Hmm. I didn't get enough of Nick Cage, and what I did get, I didn't really care for, and like I didn't really find very scary at all. I just thought it was like weird, and off-putting, more than just like striking fear into my heart. Like some people were like, "Oh my God!" Like if someone comes up to me and asks me what my birthday is, I'm gonna poop my pants, because I'm gonna be so scared because of the whatever man, the long legs man. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's funny that Osgood Perkins, I think he said something else as well, where he was like, "You don't direct Nick Cage. You just kind of let Nick Cage." And it's like, "Oh, well, so you didn't do your job." You know what I mean? I don't know. I couldn't really connect with anything. Once we got to the end, I was so bored. Oh, and it got so like what's the word? Voodoo-y. You know what I mean? Like it was this really grounded like thriller, like FBI thriller. And then at the end it gets, the I don't know if I want to spoil anything, but like very like the devil's involved and like it just gets so ridiculous and it's like, oh, so I don't really care, you know?
No, I get why that turned off some people, but personally I really like that kind of I like that it took me on a place that yeah, I was predicting it being just, oh, he was probably just having someone like when they were like, there's no DNA left on the crime scenes, and how is he doing it? And blah blah blah. And I was like, oh, he's probably just having someone else do it. That's whatever, that's cool. But then it came much deeper than that, and that's what I kind of liked about it, that it wasn't as just straightforward A, B, C, D, here's the plot. And you just follow it along. Like it took you on a bit of a curve, especially toward the end. And that's what I kind of liked, especially. But yeah, I get what you're saying with all of your stuff about not liking it, but a lot of your dislikes were my likes in a way. Because like I was
Mhm.
glad that Nicolas Cage had maybe 12 minutes of screen time. He was very sparingly used, and I just like his tone of voice and everything, and the way he did it. I don't know his movements and everything. While I like the people saying, "Oh, this is the scariest movie I've seen in years," that's just not the case. Is it very unnerving, and his like playing of the character was quite good in my opinion when it comes to just like these very like the cast of different like serial killer just very weirdos in a way, like when it comes to like an iconic performance of something that I just don't see that often. He
Mhm.
definitely does a lot of things here that like try to give this role to almost anyone else, and it's not going to be the same just
Oh,
because
I
he
agree with
takes it
that.
so many weird places with not only his tone of voice, but like the yelling and like the body movements and his whole commitment to, I mean, commitment to the bit, quite honestly. Like he is the man that is quite literally the best at that, in my opinion. So I've always just loved to see him try different things. And yeah, like I said, it's not the scariest movie like people were touting it, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I don't blame people for enjoying it. Like I actually went I was at like an exiting theater for it. And this old guy walks past me and he goes, "That movie sucked." And I was like, "Yeah, I support you." But no, if someone loves this movie, I totally get it. I get, like I said, the vibe, the mood is like perfect. But for me, I just think it's like mid. You know what I
Well,
mean?
because you say that you like the vibe and the mood, I really encourage you to watch his other
Blackfoot's
movie.
daughter.
Yeah, I have it on Vudu, and
Mhm.
I really would like to see what your thoughts are on that because I think it stays more to the darker tone and stuff than this one does, and it kind of stays more focused rather than this one kind of taking some fun turns on the way. That one kind of, while it does do some stuff, it's hard to explain, and I haven't seen it in a while to go that deep into it, but vibes
Mhm.
alone, I think you'll like it if you like the vibes of this one.
I've been going through your Voodoo pretty well. Right now, sometimes I'll hit a snag, like I'll be in the middle of a movie and I'll hate it, and
Yeah.
or not hate it, but just like be so uninspired by it that like I won't go back to, because I'm not going to start something else on your Voodoo until I finish that. So it's like I'll usually have like one movie going on each streaming service at a time, and I'll be like midway through or whatever. And so sometimes it's like, okay, would I rather continue Snow White and the Huntsman, or watch some and Jack Reacher on Netflix, or rewatch something on my Voodoo, or watch one of my DVDs I haven't seen, and almost never the answer is Snow White and the Huntsman.
No.
So I mean that's my fault. I picked it, but like with all the Snow White news, which by the way, the live action Snow White, dog water. I hate it. I hate it so much. I'm an adult man, and I get really passionately upset about live action remakes of family films. But yeah, no, long legs. I think I hate to say this because it makes me feel like the villain of cinema, but like similarly to like how you described your rating of Borderlands, that I did the opposite with long legs. Like I'm like, no, I'm gonna go even lower than it. No, I'm at two is appropriate, but there's a part of me that's like, it needs to be taken down a peg. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you.
And I'm not the only one. A lot of my like close friends like really don't like it.
No, yeah.
So
I've heard a lot of people not be on the long legs train as much as I am. So I don't really blame you at the end of the day. I was just really sad to see it.
I'm sorry. I would love to love the movie. I would really love to.
All right, well, let's jump into the other movie that we got some controversy over, even though in a lot of ways I completely understand and agree with you. But
Hmm.
I unapologetically really enjoyed Borderlands, and I'm not going to apologize for it ever. I had
Hmm.
fun watching it. Is it a perfect movie? No. Is it a
Hmm.
cookie cutter team up movie that really wanted to be Guardians of the Galaxy but had no budget to do so, nor the cast, nor I
Well, I
mean
had the budget.
they had the property. I mean, yeah, they had the budget, but they didn't have the talent to do so, I should say. Because Eli Roth, while I do enjoy the movies that he puts out at time to time, he's not an action comedy filmmaker ever before this.
Neither was
So,
James Gunn.
well, yeah, but at the same time, like James Gunn had a lot more promise to his films than Eli Roth did. Like Eli Roth is purely splatter craziness rather than James Gunn. Like he had a lot of different, especially his writing is what mainly got him popular. But
Yeah.
Eli Roth here, I mean, I enjoyed a lot of the performances here is what carried it for me. Like I'm never gonna dislike Jack Black being a goofball. I'm never gonna dislike, I mean, Kate Blanchett being a badass lady. Like there's just some things here that I really enjoy, but yeah, I enjoyed playing the Borderlands games when I was in high school too, but I don't remember a lot of the lore, but I just had fun watching it. Is it a perfect movie? Never. Is the music really bad in it? Yeah. There's just so much that it's not good in it, but at the same time, I didn't really hate watching it. I didn't stare at my watch like I have in several different movies this year. I just ate my popcorn and watched.
Hmm. Do you know how sad it was for me? Because I was really excited about this movie. I was interested in general, just because like anytime a video game movie ever comes out, it's like this has the potential to be the best video game movie of all time, because it's just a genre that just sucks. And so when I heard about it being terrible, I was really excited because sometimes I like shit. You know what I mean? Like I have a Cats poster on my wall. Like I can
Mhm.
get into some dog shit. But then I like right before the movie, I went and saw that you liked it. And you were my only mutual that liked it, and I messaged you about it.
I feel like
And then
I'm one of
after
the
the
only
movie,
people on Letterboxd almost that likes it. Like right now, the overall rating is 1.2.
yeah, and it deserves it. Like, I don't know, and I felt so bad messaging you after the movie and being like, "I'm sorry, but I am not your ally,"
I
because
knew
I
you weren't
wanted to
going to
like
be
it.
it.
Well,
Like you
sometimes I like crap like
exactly.
this.
You were like, "Wow, maybe I will." And I was like, "I don't think so, but I hope so."
I thought it was like not offensively bad. Like I don't think it's as bad as Madam Web. I think it's worse than Argyle, and Argyle is only like in the same realm
See,
because
I
the
haven't seen
director is so
Argyle.
competent. Well, it's just so annoying because Matthew Vaughn is really great filmmaker, and just seeing him make be reduced to this is like so pathetic. But it is at the end of the day still a more competent movie than Borderlands. Borderlands, the problem is it's ugly. It's also none of the characters are good at all. Like just the I'm not even talking about the performances. All the performances are terrible. All the characters are super boring, miscast. Pretty much every single character I feel like is miscast. I feel
Not to
like
me.
the action sequences were entirely unspecial. I felt like the humor was immature, which was annoying because the games are rated M for mature. You know what
But
I
at the
mean?
same time, the jokes in the games are very much of an immature basis. Like they might swear a bit more than they did in this movie, but the jokes are very much spot on, especially with Claptrap as Jack Black. Claptrap is there to annoy you, but also guide you through the game. And that is exactly what that character did through this movie. It kind of was just a side character that was kind of just guiding the plot along practically, but that is one character that I will defend through and through. Claptrap, Jack Black casting was completely correct. There's no one
That's
else that would have done that better.
and I do recognize that I'm not the authority. I don't know anything about the source material. That being said, I thought he was super annoying. I thought that like Kevin Hart wasn't trying at all. Like he wasn't
He
funny
was
at
trying
all.
more than fucking Lift this year. That's the one thing that I will defend through and through too. Like, while
Hmm.
it was a bad Kevin Hart performance, there are much worse out there. Night School is worse.
Yeah, I'm concerned. Give me a second.
Okay.
Hey, I'm really sorry. My dog usually only barks when people come in. So I was like, did I leave a door unlocked or something? And then I realized that it's just people going up the stairs and she's like upset about that. Like the people in our building. I'm really sorry, everybody.
No, you were.
But yeah, I mean, my buddy after the movie said that Kate Blanchett, like, I was really upset when she didn't win the Oscar for Tar. She lost to Michelle Yeoh. But now I'm like, good, you know, because I thought she was really terrible and miscast. Like, isn't she like 22, Lilith, in the video game?
That I can't tell you. I don't. It's been a long time since I played the originals, especially.
Yeah, I mean, not to be like ageist or anything, but it's just weird to see like multiple old women, star in the movie. I mean, I guess it's really progressive. The only women in the movie, it's not really like
Well,
a.
I have a feeling that a lot of this was due to studio because I feel like Eli Roth, especially like in his other movies where he was more indie based, he has a lot of unknowns. And he's always casted a lot of unknowns, whether it's Hostel or Cabin Fever. Like a lot of these casts don't have like familiar faces in them, but this one was chock full of them. I mean,
Mhm.
the other studio movie that I can remember him doing, the House of the Clock on its Walls, which literally is almost the same cast as this with like Jack Black and Kate Blanchett. But
Mhm.
it seems like the studio was like, oh, we need all of these familiar faces because no one's gonna want to come see a Borderlands movie with just the IP, which could be probably completely wrong. I mean, while they've only made $8 million, before the movie came out, I thought it was going to make less than that, purely because there was no promotional material that I ever saw for this movie, nor like I don't know what the critic embargo was, but there was no talk about it up until like the very I think maybe the day before it came out or something. Like no one wanted to talk like this movie be talked about before it came out. So the studio had no confidence. So it feels
Mhm.
like even though they put some money into it, nobody had faith in this, unfortunately, except for Eli Roth kind of touting it on like his social media, and that was about it.
Well, everything that I hear about the movie just sounds like a disaster. Like Kate Blanchett only did it because she was like, going crazy, shut in for COVID, and then Eli Roth, like there was a great script, and then he signed on and was like, no, I want to take it over. And then, obviously it sucks. The million different writers, the fact that like Joe Crombie is like not like that's a fake name. He only has one credit, and it's this movie is the other writer here. The fact that why is it not rated R? Why it's rated M for mature?
I
And
it's
why are there children that I'm counting in
again,
my audit?
this is the studio having no confidence in their own IP. Because I mean, if the creators of the game and whatnot, they would have wanted it to be rated R, and everyone probably wanted it to be rated R, but studios are always like, same with a lot of horror movies that come out over the last few years. Let's cut this down so we can get teenagers in here. That's what the motivation is every time. It's purely from a money standpoint, and it's fucking annoying.
Yeah, it just seems like something that no one really wanted to do. It seemed like no one wanted to be there. The studio didn't want to do it. It's 10 years too late. It's yeah, I think pathetic is the word I would use. A lot of the jokes are like pee pee poo poo jokes. Like they go
Yeah.
through the piss field and then she rolls the window. That makes no sense to me. So we're in a piss field, right? We know that everything there's piss all around us, right? There's warning signs and everything. And she's like, I want to roll my window down. And it's like,
But
but we're in a chase and there's piss out there,
but
right?
also where you come from, not the character would do that just because she is like even crazier than in this movie. She's just a fucking unhinged, crazy person. So
Yeah,
that
but then
character
two
would
seconds
do that
later
because
they
she's
hit a
also
bump.
an immature child.
But 2 seconds later they hit a bump. She gets piss in her mouth. And I do like the delivery of it's in my mouth. Like that's funny. But like she's clearly upset about having piss in her mouth, like anyone would be. Like, so why, you know what I mean? Like
I'm
A
sorry,
plus B
Adam.
equals C, you know what I
I
mean?
have to tell you, you're an old man now, just like me.
Oh
Because this is what you're
no.
saying. Because like all of these complaints are like this movie's rated PG-13 because they want to aim it more towards kids, and that's like all these pee pee poo poo jokes. Kids, PG-13, kids. Like they're just trying to get money. That's the studio. I mean, it's purely what it is. They had no confidence that anyone would want to watch a Borderlands movie, so they tried to dumb it down and try to get as much money possible on this investment.
Hmm. I understand. And then there's just like little like nitpicks, like small little like filmmaking mistakes, like the shot of them opening up the grate, you could see a crew member opening it up, like very clearly, like you in the movie. And it's all over the internet. And then like the scene where Bobby Lee's in the bar, you could see an Axe body spray can at the bar in front of him. And it's like very clear as day. I mean, I was looking for it when I saw the movie, but like it was clear as day that was an Axe body spray. So just the laziness of it, and yeah, you brought up the soundtrack. It really feels almost exactly like that 2016 Suicide Squad movie.
Yeah. I I would watch this over that though every day.
Oh, I like that one a lot more than this. But this was just not for me, man.
It
I really it
it
was hard to
truly,
watch.
looking back at it, feels like a fan film of someone who knew as much about Borderlands as I do, which isn't a whole lot. And
Mhm.
at the end of the day, like I said, I was laughing and eating my popcorn along with it. Is it a movie that I'm eager to watch again and want to buy? No. Would I watch another one? I would. I'll be honest with you. I'm the only one saying that, but with a completely different filmmaker, maybe because like I'm not an Eli Roth hater by any means. I don't love anything he's ever made, really, but yeah, I would watch more Borderlands stuff, but make it a rated R animated Borderlands movie, cool. That'd be way better than this. But yeah,
Uh,
I don't.
we will not see another Borderlands movie in my lifetime.
Oh no, I don't think so either, but I would lean if they really wanted to make something cool, make an animated movie out of it because that would be way better, and the actual constraints of the world and everything would be open way more because creating Pandora in real life, it's never going to be as good as it is in the game just because it's such a hard thing to make an apocalyptic world without a very large amount of money. Like I guarantee you a large amount of all of this budget went to making these sets. And they weren't even that great to begin with, but to just make all of this post-apocalyptic stuff costs a lot of fucking money because a lot of this shit does not exist.
Mhm. Two things. Number one, they very quickly in the movie established that the planet we're on is Pandora. I don't know why, whose stupid idea would be to remind me of one of the greatest science fiction franchises known to man right before I'm about to watch one of the biggest pieces of dog food.
Legitimately,
You know what I mean?
the first game probably came out around the same time as Avatar did, so it's purely out of coincidence.
Yeah, yeah. And then the other
Because it's
thing,
both like 2009 or something like that.
uh, so I would love to ask you this question. I watched this entire movie, 101 minutes. I do not know what Borderlands is. What is a Borderland? What does that mean?
I mean, that's what I think that's just like the overall landscape of everything is the Borderlands. Like the way it's just like you're not in the town or anything, you're like going through the Borderlands. I think that's the terminology. I want to say something like that.
But right, think is the word. You know what I mean? It's never like established what a Borderland is. You know what I mean? Like
I mean, I
my
think it's
but
just the word.
yeah, I don't know. I can't think of anything really. If you the production design, fine, I'll take that. That's okay. But yeah, other than that, no, I hated everything. Um, I hate everything. I thought everything was kind of bad. Like, but it wasn't offensive. Like I'm not like seething with hate. I
Well,
just
that's
like
why
a
it's like
strong
I
dislike.
just 3 stars is fine to me, 2.5, but like all the way down to a one, it's just not that bad to me. I don't understand a 1 star on this movie. Like, there's nothing offensively bad.
I agree
Like
with
it,
that. I'm not here to convince you. I would love for you to continue in this world that you're living in.
because in
Um,
reality, I put it at 4. It's not a 4. It's a 3. But
mm.
I'm giving it the extra just because so many people are just being extremely harsh for just to jump on the hate train. In my opinion, it really feels like because it doesn't
I didn't
feel.
want to just jump on the hatred. I did want to give it a fair shake.
No, and you give me an explanation, I understand, but I feel like there are some people that are very disingenuous and probably haven't even watched it that are probably just like, oh, it's the worst movie ever because my friend said it's the bad. And it's like, I hate those kind of people. It's just make your own fucking opinion.
You're one of the 584 people to give this movie 4 stars on Letterboxd out
Hell
of
yeah.
the I don't know how many total. I will say I agree with what you're saying about people just jumping on the train because there was an element of this movie that was like I would like ask people what was bad about it and they would just be like it was bad and I was like well what's
Yeah.
bad you know what I mean like
I
you
mean,
go a little bit
truly.
more into it please. I mean yes everything is bad but like and it's fine but like not being able to go into like detail. I mean everyone's not a film critic, I get it, but like
I know, but they
you
just
got
like
an
watch,
hour's,
they just
2 hours
watch
worth of
fucking,
content.
they watch Charlie's video on YouTube and they're like, well, Charlie said it's bad, so it's bad. And I have to tell everybody that
Mhm.
it's bad. And it's like, fucking just make your own opinion, have an actual personality. Don't just base it off of people you watch on the internet. I know we're technically being those people on the internet telling people about stuff, but I will
Mhm.
never tell someone their opinion is bad. Will I have a conversation with them and maybe disagree? Sure. And I
Mhm.
love to have conversation. Like us disagreeing about a movie is one of my favorite things ever.
Yeah.
Just because it breeds just a fun conversation. And sometimes it can change perspective on things. Like talking about Borderlands, like throughout that conversation, I was thinking about it over and over again. I'm like, yeah, it's not a good movie, but it's a fun movie for me, and I had fun watching it. Similar to Cats for you. Is Cats a bad movie? 1 million
Yes.
percent.
Yeah.
You can't deny that it's just poorly made,
But it's
but
also brilliant. You know what I mean?
exactly, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, and I mean, very similar to Borderlands. I don't think I'll be rewatching it how you rewatch Cats, but I
Mhm.
respect it either way.
Yeah, I'm at a 1 out of 5. It's awful. It'll be in my top bottom worst movies of the year list. And I'm so sorry. I just feel bad. But yeah, Eli Roth, jail. Everyone in this movie, jail. Like Kate Blanchett, jail. Jamie Lee Curtis, jail. Everyone. I hated everyone in the movie.
All right, well, since we're wrapping up a little bit closer here, we'll jump into a few movies that only we have seen. I'll start with mine. Just watched Cuckoo yesterday. That movie's fucking awesome. I was like, throughout the movie, I was kind of in and out of it, not really sure if I liked it, but there gets a point where it kind of reveals what's going on, and holy shit, it's very much a German. It almost has this retro feeling to it, especially with like the set design and everything. Like, I don't want to go too much detail because I'd rather you go in. Like, I knew nothing about this movie other than Dan Stevens is in it and Hunter, I forget her
Hunter
last
Schafer.
name, Hunter Schafer, which both of them are fantastic in it. And it is not what I expected. It's
Hmm.
definitely very, um,
Will I like it?
that is a good question because I feel like it can be very divisive. It's a bit slow moving at times, but the payoff is amazing. And if you're a fan of Dan Stevens kind of being
Hmm.
his charming antagonist self that he has been in a few movies lately,
Abigail.
yeah, I'm about to say you'll get a kick out of it because he kind of plays kind of similar to Abigail, but almost more kind of like high up suit guy, kind of more, but very devious but charming. And yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff about this movie that I have a feeling will probably get more attention as it becomes like this has a prime of being like a cult classic in my opinion. Like I don't know how much it's made so far, and I don't know if a lot of people are seeing it. Like right now it's holding a 3.2 out of 5 on Letterboxd, so it's holding like right in that middle area.
Yeah, I can
And
look
I've
it up.
seen some people like give it like 1 star, but I think on average I've seen a lot of 3 stars. And I put it at a 4, but honestly, I was at like a 3 throughout the movie, and then like I said, the third act really just ramps up, and either you go along with it or you jump off that train, in my opinion. And I really liked where it went, and it has a very it has an ending where it leaves you wanting more, in my opinion. And but at the same time, I'd be very happy if they didn't give me any more.
Hmm. It made 3 million opening weekend.
That's that's better than I expected,
Hmm.
especially
Uh,
for being a neon new release.
I'm excited. I plan on seeing it tomorrow, along with Dee Dee, which I'm excited for as well. And what'd you say you rated it again?
I gave it a 4. Like I could probably give it a 3.5, maybe, or even jump more later, but it's in that range where like it's not perfect by any means, but I really like the directions that it went.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be checking it out and be excited to see if we align on it.
Yeah, I want to have a conversation about it because yeah, as you can tell, I'm trying to be very kept with the secrets that are in the movie, but the
I
reveals and
appreciate
stuff
that.
in it are very fun. Yeah, I don't want to ruin it like Long Legs, so you'll give it a fucking 2 star.
Um, Sorry. Yeah, no, I will definitely be checking it out tomorrow. I love Dan Stevens,
Yeah.
so I'm very interested in the movie. One that I caught up on was Tarot. That was terrible, annoying baby movie. That was for babies, tiny little babies.
Would you rather watch
Um,
that or Borderlands?
I
Please
think I
just
gave them both 1 star.
please just validate me.
Yeah, I'll throw you a bone. It is close. I mean, I think Tarot is shorter, so I probably would enjoy that a little bit more. But it's not Tarot's not as ugly. The characters aren't as annoying, and the plot isn't as
So if I asked you to come over and watch Borderlands, you wouldn't?
no. I wouldn't do either.
No.
Just to update on where we're sitting with the game here. We talked about Deadpool 3, which got 78% Rotten Tomatoes, obviously made 100 million domestically. And then Twisters finally crossed that 100 million domestically threshold for another 76%. So you are currently sitting at 245 points. Borderlands had a 9%, but is not going to make that 100 million. So you have 5 of your movies have come out. You still have Wicked, Sonic 3, Beetlejuice, Gladiator, and Saw. I have nothing new, but I'm sitting at 386, and I have one, two, three, four, five, six, 7 of my movies have gone. I still have three left, but not really. I have two left because Ballerina is not going to come out this year. So I just have
Yeah.
Mufasa, which sucks, and then I have Joker 2, which is like my only saving grace, you know?
Yeah, I think you might be locked for that one, but the Rotten Tomatoes score might fuck you up on that one just because I feel like there might be some haters out there.
Well, as long
Being
as
a
it's over 14%, it'll get me to that 400 point threshold, which I'm really excited about. But yeah, another one that I watched that I would love to talk to you about more in depth later was Trap. Trap is the new movie from filmmaker legend M. Night Shyamalan. So obviously, I had a really good time with it. I really recommend it. I only give it a 4 out of 5, and I was hesitant to do so because I thought if I give it a 4 out of 5, everyone would be like, "Oh, so it sucks." Like if the M. Night guy didn't give it a 5 out of 5 with some of the other shit that he gives 5 out of 5, then it must really suck.
no,
So
I'm still very eager to watch it. I jumped Cuckoo ahead in line just because I had very much curious about that one for a while, seeing all the posters and stuff. But on my list right now is very high up is to see that just because I'm curious about Josh Hartnett. Obviously, haven't seen him in a whole ton of stuff. He kind of popped back on the scene with Oppenheimer, but I'm excited to see him, and especially in like another horror based thing, because like Halloween H2O is like one of the last ones I really remember him being in when it comes to like horror thriller genre.
hmm he's great in it. He's one of my favorite lead performances of the year. My big problem with the movie, why it's at a 4 instead of a 5, it's not really the movie's fault. It's not trying to be what I want it to be. I wanted a more full, complete experience. It's just trying to make a fun thriller. It's not trying to make me cry, and I didn't cry. I mean, I cried twice. I cried when it did the I think it's Blinding Edge. M Night's production company logo. I cried then, and then I cried at the M Night cameo.
Okay,
Um,
that was about to be one of my questions. I had two questions. I was going to ask if
uh,
M and I had a cameo,
of
and I was
course,
going to ask what was the other question
it's
now?
not his best performance ever, but it's a very
Oh,
fun performance.
is this based off of something or is this like an
No,
original idea?
totally original. He had the idea. He went to a concert with his daughter, and he was like, "Oh, wouldn't it be crazy if something crazy was going on?" Like, and he wanted to make. He talks about it a little bit more. He's like, "Oh, what if we did like a concert movie, but there was something going on at the concert, and his daughter Suleika does the music, and so what if we had her, like be the artist and do a whole album, but we're having a narrative go around it." And apparently, the initial cut of the movie was like 2.5 hours long, and there was like 40 extra minutes of just concert footage.
Hmm.
But I'm not crazy about Suleika's music. I think she does a good job in the movie, and there actually are like there is one song that's like kind of stuck in my head a little bit, but nothing that I'd be putting on my Spotify at all. But no, I still think like a very very good movie. It's perfect at what it's trying to be. It's a lot like I compared it to The Guest or to Cape Fear. You know what I mean? Like, you ever
Haven't
seen
seen
Cape
Cape.
Fear?
Haven't seen it yet. Know about it, but haven't seen
Well,
it.
it's one of Scorsese's like more straightforward. Like, it's not like a big Scorsese movie. It's like a remake, and Robert De Niro's playing this like charismatic villain, and
Yeah,
it's just this
I've
like
I've seen the clip of him like smoking a cigar and laughing in the movie theater. I've used it in videos and stuff, but I've never seen the movie.
yeah, it's just not trying to be this huge Scorsese epic, and this movie isn't trying to be the huge Shyamalan epic. Like it's not hitting me in that emotional place that I wanted to hit me. And there's just certain little things. It's also a very like plot heavy movie, whereas I feel like a lot of his other ones are very character based. So here like we're not really like I didn't really care about the internal conflict from the main character. The physical conflict was really interesting, and visually it's gorgeous. But yeah, I really, really like it. It's one of my favorite movies of the year. I want to point out I'm getting jaded. Like I've been jaded, but I'm so much more jaded. I've only given technically two, three if you count movies that were released in 2023 that didn't go wide until 2024. I've only given out 3 5 stars this year, man.
Yeah, I've definitely given out more than you, but I don't think I've given out as many as I usually do because I'm a bit more generous than you.
Mhm.
I love to like things, but
Dude, so all my friends here, I'm a whore. Like I give 5 out of 5s like they're
see,
nothing.
and that's not me. I mean, that's not you to me. Like
Mhm.
I see sometimes where I give you fives, but I see a lot of a lot of lower numbers from you, I feel like.
Well, I'm trying to be a little bit more balanced now, you know what I
But I'm
mean?
just
But
like I feel so like a movie really has to piss me off to go any lower than two most of the time.
yeah, no, for me, 0 is like I'm offended. Like I'm
Half stars
upset.
are the ones where I'm like, I'm just doing this because that's the only thing that I can put on here.
Yeah, that is half star for me is a 0 from me. One is
Yeah.
like it's really bad. Two is it's just regular bad. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But yeah, what other ones did you catch? I caught Oddity. That was a cool little horror movie. I think you'd like that. It should be on Shutter here soon.
Yeah, I definitely that's been on my radar. I think Chris Stuckman made a video about it, but I have not been able to see it and was taken out of
Mhm.
my theater. So whenever I can see it, I'm very excited to do so.
A
Um,
couple Netflix ones. Find Me Falling. I did. That's got Harry Connick Jr. And I thought that was just like a romance straight to Netflix thing. It was just bad. And then the Sandy Cheeks movie, the new SpongeBob thing that went straight to Netflix. That one's also kind of bad.
yeah, I downloaded that on my iPad the other day, but I didn't watch it when I went up to North. Instead, I watched Ghostbusters Afterlife, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Can't even lie. Like, I didn't expect a whole lot out of it because I had waited so long to watch it, but maybe that helped. But I enjoyed it for the most part. I'm interested to check out Frozen Empire now, but
Hmm.
didn't, it's not like the best movie or anything, but the one I actually will say, I haven't seen anything else in theaters or Netflix or anything like that, but an older one that watched for the first time on your Vudu, we talked about before we started, Ruby Sparks. Knew nothing about this movie until I saw the title in your Vudu and was like, hmm. And then I click on it and see that Paul Dano's in it. So I'm like, all right, that gives it even more validity. Turn it on, and holy shit, that movie was really good. Like, very good. Like the whole story of him basically like creating this girl and then all of a sudden she turns up in his life and she's actually a real person. That was the part that really was like, oh, okay. But it was like a
Hmm.
really cute story and I don't know, it was just really fun. And what did I write as my review? I think I wrote something about Oh yeah, Paul Dano is one of the best weird, awkward guys in Hollywood, and I stand by it.
Oh yeah, he's wonderful. It's like a cute little romance, like a kind of like an About Time. You ever see About Time?
Mm-mm.
Oh, really cute movie. I really recommend
Is
Domhnall
that
Gleeson and Rachel McAdams, the
I
time
was about
travel
to say
one. Bill
Rachel
Nye.
McAdams. Yeah, I love her, so I will definitely check it out. I just never have.
Yeah, I'm really happy you watched that and that you liked it. Um, I know you tried to sneak by it. Ghostbusters Afterlife is one of the worst movies I've seen in my life. I think it's like
I know.
offensively bad. I think, and really, I will admit this. I'll be fair to you because you like it clearly. I'm not trying to be mean. But I think a lot of my hatred for the movie is centered around the climax and the what they do with the
Oh yeah,
who helps them out.
they straight up didn't need to bring back the legacy cast. That is one of the things that I completely agree with.
Yeah, I was like, this is like offensively bad. Like
Yeah,
I
and
was upset.
unless they got express permission from Harold Ramis before he died, then yeah, that was super fucking weird to me. That is the one thing that
Yeah.
I was like, ugh.
And it also steals all of their agency, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And also it's just a remake of the first movie. There's a kid named Podcast, that's horrible. It's a completely different genre. It's like trying to Force Awakens Ghostbusters, and
Eh,
Ghostbusters was never that, you know?
not Force Awakens to me. It felt like Stranger Things. Well,
That
literally,
too.
the kid is in it, but it felt like they Stranger Things Ghostbusters. But like I said, I saw it for what it was at the same time. Like, was it made for me? No.
Mm.
It was made for younger kids, and that was very, very obvious with some of the very obvious promotion when the movie came out at like IHOP and shit like that. And
I
I
think this
get it.
2016 one is like vastly superior.
No.
Uh, well,
I
at least it's a
said
comedy. At least they're in New York and it's a group of four and they're doing a
it is
business.
classified as a comedy. Did I laugh watching it? No, but
I didn't laugh in Afterlife,
I
you
laughed
know?
in Afterlife. That's what I will say. And like, you
Mhm.
didn't ever read my letterbox review, but I thought it was pretty funny. I said this movie is what I imagine titties are like. Some parts exactly what I expected, and I was pleasantly surprised by a few others.
Wait, wait,
I
wait, wait. Let me go back. Find that. What did you see? Let me
I
see.
only got one like on that review, but I thought that was pretty fun.
My letterbox review for Afterlife is like I was told by a friend that this is their favorite review of mine, which was the only thing worse than women is children,
Yeah,
which is like a cruel thing to say. But I didn't see your Ruby Sparks one either, and I love Over the Hedge. Oh, but I saw the Over the Hedge
you
one.
did see
Didn't
Over
see
the Hedge one,
anything
yeah.
else, but I did. I did see that Afterlife. Wow,
And
yeah.
Ernest to Cinema, yeah.
I do like the backdrop. I think that's kind of pretty. I have Letterboxd. If you have the pro,
Oh
you can
yeah,
change the
those are my
backdrop.
favorite. Yeah, I changed them a lot.
Hmm. Well, I'm happy. I'm happy you liked it. You know what I mean? I would suck if you had to watch it and you hated it. And
Nah,
Frozen Empire's on Netflix, so you'll
I
get to
was
catch that
I
soon.
was driving in the truck, so I was getting paid while I was watching it. I wasn't driving personally, I was riding, but
Hmm. Yeah. No, I hate the new Ghostbusters too. I think it's awful. I think that every Ghostbusters movie that's come out in the last 20 years is awful.
I I mean I am still I have never watched Ghostbusters 2, still like the original Ghostbusters 2.
I
So
like it. It's good. It's got
I've
Bill
heard
Murray.
that it's actually really funny, but for some reason it just never, I guess maybe we never had it at my house or something. Maybe I'd have only had
Mhm.
Ghostbusters 1, but for some reason I've just never seen it. But yeah, I want to check that one out as well as like I'm gonna check out Frozen Empire because that's also on Netflix right now, so
Mhm.
it won't cost me anything. But yeah, like I if they made I don't know how that one is, but I don't think there's necessarily needs to be any more of these, but they probably will be. And
Oh no, this one actually I think it might have been successful. But no, I hope there's never ever a Ghostbusters movie ever again. Um
wishful thinking.
and then I think that was it for stuff that I watched on your Vudu as of late. I really
Yeah,
have been like stuck on Snow White and the Huntsman. It's just so
no.
like I think I did Peppermint. I like fell asleep watching Peppermint.
You know, I while that movie does not have a whole ton of story, I enjoyed that movie when I saw it in theaters purely because it's like it was more violent than I expected it to be. Yeah. Peppermint.
Oh yeah, for a
Like
Jennifer
her
Garner
yeah,
type
her
movie
like
like that.
murdering people. Like I was like, oh
Hmm.
shit. I was like, this is hardcore, but it's still Jennifer Gardner, so it's not like as hardcore, but
Hmm. Um, any other movies we wanted to touch on before we sign off here today?
I saw that you thought Night School wasn't cinema, and I just gotta tell you, you're completely right.
Yeah, that sucks.
I saw
Lauren was
that
actually like really into it last night and like
I
got
saw
mad at me when I
that
paused it.
I saw it in a theater. I think one of the only parts I might have laughed at that I can remember right now is like I feel like he was like in a fucking like chicken suit or something
Yeah.
at like a fast food restaurant, and I feel like something happened and it was made me laugh. And that's the only thing I remember
Oh,
about that movie.
yeah. We might be have the same thing because there was a joke where they're like, "It's religious chicken," and they're like, "Why
Oh,
is it religious?" I don't know, but
yeah.
but I got the Chick-fil-A joke that they were going for, and I thought that that was really funny.
Yeah, it is try. It's I mean, I will give it credit. Night School is better than like the last 10 Kevin Hart movies probably almost. Like when it comes to just like his actual enthusiasm in a role too.
Yeah, I just hate the type of character that he's playing lately. I don't know. I don't think he's been good for like since the Jumanji movies, really.
Well, yeah, he like tries to play like the suave action hero in so many other movies. And it's just like, nah, man, you're Kevin Hart. You're a tiny little funny man. Just be a
Yeah,
tiny little funny man.
and his wife is like super hot and out of his league, and it's like, okay, Kevin, I get it.
Yeah,
Your production company made this movie.
exactly. You're Seth Rogen coded now, but Seth Rogen is way funnier
Yeah, yeah.
and way more talented, unfortunately, when it comes to all the different aspects of filmmaking.
Hmm. Yeah, Seth Rogen I like a lot more than Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kevin Hart's down bad in my head these days.
Yeah, well, I hope we try to do something else. Go back to stand up. Stop doing all these movies when it comes to action, especially. Do
Yeah,
funny. Be funny. You're great. He's not the best at funny, but that's where his bread and butter is.
yeah, go back to the drawing board kind of a thing. But yeah, movies. Any other movies that you want to touch on before we go here
Nah,
today? I
man,
mean, next time we'll talk about Trap. We'll talk
about to
about
say
Cuckoo.
what's
We'll talk
what's on
about
our
Alien.
what's on our horizon. Alien Romulus is about to be out. Did you
I
get to
saw that
see that?
yesterday. Yeah. I thought it
You,
was really good.
I was about to say I am a big fan of the first Alien movie. So if it stays more in the horror side of things, I'm gonna be a very happy boy.
I mean, I will temper expectations a bit. I think out of the 9 Xenomorph movies we've seen, I think this is like number 5. I like the first 2 Aliens more, and I like the first 2 Prometheus more. So
Gotcha. Yeah.
like
I
it's better
mean,
than both AVPs and better than Alien 3 and 4.
okay. That's probably where I would expect it, honestly. So interesting. Very,
But it
still very excited.
but it's a lot closer to the top 4 than it is to the bottom 4. Like it's a very good movie. It just is like it's kind of like the Evil Dead remake that Fede Alvarez did, where it's like
Yeah.
solid entry, but also like I could have done without it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's kind of
That
been there,
is,
done that.
that is one movie where my brother absolutely loves that movie. And when I first saw it, I was more like, yeah, but I've liked it more over the years. So I like Fede Alvarez's other stuff. I feel like I'm one of the few people that liked the one that he did about what was it?
Don't
The girl
breathe.
with the well, Don't Breathe was
I
I
like
like
that
that one
one.
too, but he did a Girl in the Spider's Web or whatever too, like the sequel to Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and that one I enjoyed parts of it. Like he had promising moments of like action stuff in that, so but yeah, I'm very curious to see where Alien Romulus goes. Well, is anything else coming out?
Bu- 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 bu-
Not
bu-
that I
bu-
can.
Oh, My Penguin Friend comes out. I'm very excited about that.
Is
It's a
that
guy with a penguin who's his friend.
is that like a documentary type movie?
No, it's got the guy from Leon the Professional. I think his name's like Gene Reno or something like that. I like him. He's got a
I
little
mean,
friend, and it's a penguin.
I'm down.
And
Fuck it.
then I don't really know after that. I think there's like the Ronald Reagan movie with Jack Quaid's dad. I'm sure that's going to be
Yeah,
accurate
Quaid's
and
dad. I
good.
love that.
And then, I mean, at this point, yeah, Jack Quaid's much more famous than his
Oh yeah.
awful, stupid dad. And then, yeah, we just got to wait until Beetlejuice at the beginning of September, really.
Yeah, I'm so like I wasn't as excited about it, but the more stuff I've seen about it, I'm just so Beetlejuice pilled. I literally recently got the soundtrack on vinyl, and it is so fucking cool.
I need to rewatch. I didn't know it was coming out in September. It seems like an October thing. I don't know why it's coming out in September. But I'm sure it'll have legs. Like it'll still be out. And I mean,
Oh
will
yeah.
it still be in theaters on October 31st? That's like the big question to me.
Well, I feel like it'll probably not only still be in theaters, but at that point, it'll probably be on fucking Vudu too to buy. So, because
Exactly.
nothing stays in theaters long enough for it to even matter anymore, and that's the only thing that makes me so upset about like the state of theaters. It's like, yeah, no one's gonna go if you fucking release shit two
hmm
weeks later on fucking Vudu. It's like, what's the point?
hmm Well, movies are wonderful and great, despite how much I hate them. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Ass, Steve.
Yes, I have things coming up. So I revealed to Adam before the show started, I'm actually going to be moving into an apartment soon. So the Film Fan Reviews might be making a surprise appearance on video form a lot sooner than everyone thought. So keep an eye on that channel because things are changing.
That's awesome. Yeah, I just posted. I'm in the process of posting my Borderlands review right now. My Alien review will be up tomorrow. My Deadpool 3 review is my third most highest viewed review ever. I'm really excited about that.
Awesome.
Movies are awesome. So check out our channels and stuff. And thank you guys so much for watching.
Yes, keep playing with that ass.
Yeah, I'm Adam,
And I'm Steve.
and this has been Ass, baby.
Tickle it. That's how I'm ending.